Alright guys, here I am. I got my silks out. I'm ready to go on this thing. It's about time. It's only been, a year too late. So this is a 2011 quilt, and I try to make one of these kitchen sink quilts once a year. Yeah, well, time escapes me. I'm sure we all can relate to having a box full of UFOs, and this is one that I really want to have done. So just by doing this, I'm getting the mojo back to get this baby going. So let me show you what I'm working with here. So way back here on my nice big my ironing table back here, not a sewing table, that's my cutting table, this is my ironing table, that's my sewing station, kind of got the works here. So what I'm using is this, for silks, is this fusible stabilizer. It's almost like a piece of silk itself. It's very drapey, but it definitely has a texture to it so that you can tell which is the fusible side. And I'm going to lay that out. I've got my iron. Well, I don't have my iron. I'm turning my iron on to steam. I'm going to get that ready. And I'm going to turn this so that I'm using the sticky side down. And I'm going to add it on top of this piece that I'm working on right here. Now, make sure you got the right side down, so down to your ironing surface. I got my fusible, which this stuff is a little tricky to work with, but it keeps the silks nice and lightweight, which is a good thing. So I'm going to lay it down on my little piece here. My iron's getting hot. I'm going to give it a little press here. Hopefully this works, or it'll make for a very funny podcast, or what do you call this? Is this a video cast? What would I call these things that I'm doing? Other than, it saves me a lot of time to have to write all this out. That's what I'm thinking it is. Alright, so steaming this baby down on here. Hopefully it's working, feels nice and warm. Okay. I have to peel a little bit off because I ironed it right to my nice ironing cover here. But there you can see that it's now fused onto this. So I'm just going to trim it out, and then I'll be able to just paste it up on my wall and hopefully continue adding my other pieces. I'm going to hit this again because I'm not sure my iron's hot enough yet, but it's getting there. So I'm wondering if any of you guys have worked with silks. I plan on quilting the daylights out of this thing, so it's certainly not going to fall apart. I'm sure it's not going to be a quilt that I use all the time, but it's going to be so pretty that I'm just going to want to look at it. So I'm not really one to have quilts hanging in my house. I haven't this one hung up because it makes a nice background. It's better than looking at my white, very dirty quilt wall, design wall. Do you hang quilts on your walls? I'm guessing most of you probably do. Alright, let's see if that's holding even better. Yeah, that looks great. So now I can just trim that off there. And it's going to make working with these wiggly wobbly silk panels that I have so much easier. Grab my nice big ruler here. It certainly helps if you clean your studio too before you do this. That's a bonus. Have a clean studio. So I'm just going to kind of trace this around. Maybe I can get a bunch of these pieces done today. That would be really cool. Start plastering them up on my wall. It also helps if you have a sharp rotary cutter. If you're like me and you're totally, I'm wondering, are you like me? Are you bad about not replacing your rotary cutters? It's actually amazing how well they work when you do put a new blade in them. Alright, well I can trim this down more later, but already you can see that it's really made this much more firm, and it's going to stay together, and it's going to be much easier to work with when I'm sewing together all the other pieces. So that's going to be my goal for the rest of the day today. I'm going to pick off some of these just to show you some of the blocks. I tried to keep the blocks really simple. I was kind of going for sort of a flying geese, anything to deal with a flying goose kind of a block. So a windmill. These are more of the panels. Let me find some of the made blocks here. Here's another one, pinks and purples. Look at how nice these. The Dupionis just sew together so nice. It's ridiculous. They look so pretty. This little one, the little shimmery pink. I try to keep them very simple because I want these big panels to just stand out. Look at this, the hot pink. God, I love that. I'm not even a pink person, but I'm starting to be, because that's just like so electric and fabulous. A little bit of the shimmering on the silver. I don't know, I think it's a lot of fun to play with some different kinds of fabrics besides cotton. And cotton's always nice to sew with, but you know, I'm a half a block from Mood, you know, from Project Runway Mood. It's terrible. I have to walk down the street with blinders on because I've got notions and trim shops and, you know, garment clothing, and there's cottons, there's any kind of fabric you can get in this sort of wholesale garment center district that I live in New York City. But having Mood close by is really amazing because you can find so many different fabrics and so many different textures that are just so much fun to play with. I'm just wondering if I have some other ones that I can show you that I picked up there. Here's a couple. This shimmery gold linen. How much fun is that? I've actually already have that in a quilt. Had it for about a year waiting for just the right project, and I finally found something to use that for. This is also another linen. It's white. It's not terribly thick. I might have to put some of this fusible interfacing behind it as well. You can kind of see, can you kind of see through it a little bit? Maybe not with the light shining. You can see my green through there. But these great little dots that are making the screen all fuzzy. And then also I found this fabric. It's kind of a digital print. It's a cotton. And it's some fancy designer, which I probably lost the tag now. I'm not going to remember whose it is. But look at how fun this is. Isn't that weird? I thought maybe it would say on the little tag here what it was, but I don't know. But you know, this was $25 a yard, so I splurged and I bought 2 yards of it. And I was like, what can I do with these flowers? It's just such a different look than anything that you find in some of the quilting shops for fabrics. So it kind of looks like a tablecloth, but it's very modern and updated, and you can tell by the way it was printed as just sort of a scanned-in image and printed off on top of the fabric. Definitely a different kind of a look. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I also think the palette of colors is kind of funky in this. This sort of minty green and this ochre yellow and this weird purple and then a really bright green. So that's some of the kind of stuff you can find in my neighborhood. Well, I totally got off track there when I was talking about silks, but I do think it's great fun to try to play with some different textures and some different fabrics when I'm making a quilt. You never know what you're going to get, so I like how this crazy silk pattern dances around that block. I think that's kind of fun. So that's what I'm going to do today. I think this is a really great idea that I'm doing this by video because now I feel I have to be accountable for whatever I've put on here. So if I've talked about the silks, I actually have to get the silks done. So maybe for another day, I can pull out a box of just UFOs and just see how many crazy projects I have sitting around here. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.